Yo, 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 and welcome back to Creeps and Crimes
Podcast.
I'm Taylor.
I'm Morgan. Happy Thursday and happy episode 244.
244. Sorry, I'm like so trying to make myself look right, but my feet don't touch the floor.
I'm like to this point where I'm all about comfort here today, baby.
We've been talking for like 2 hours.
Yeah, and I have just had the day from hell.
Yeah.
And I can't even talk about it because fucking work stuff.
Yeah.
But it was just so busy for no reason. At
The
all.
day after the holiday.
And that's why.
Yeah.
Because everyone leaves everything to do for the second day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we'll handle that on Tuesday when we get back. Bitch, are you going to be here on Tuesday?
Right.
That's actually, I said that to me last night about editing TVB because I didn't remember that yesterday was Monday.
Yeah.
Until it was 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Well, even today I've been saying, oh, we'll see you on Tuesday. Like,
yeah.
No, that's wrong. Incorrect.
And
actually.
then instead, it's recording day. All of a sudden, Monday turned into recording day.
Yeah, crazy.
That's a rough time.
I don't like that.
Well, because I don't have
like
time to like experience things.
But what
you know
I
what I
am
mean?
really excited for is this weekend I have no guests.
No visitors.
I'm not going
no
anywhere.
No obligations.
I have 0 obligations, and I'm not making a single obligation. There's no... I'm not leaving
not
that house
planting.
this weekend.
I'm not walking outside. I'm not doing anything because you became a garden girl, CEO, being a gardener.
I am a CEO of flowers.
Flowers.
That was my mom's doing. So my mom and my youngest brother were here this weekend. We had a great little time, but my mom can't stand the front of our house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a rental. Who fucking cares? And she's like, I do. Don't you want it to look nice? So before we go and walk the dog, she goes outside. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I need a plan. I'm like, plan what? She was like, I have to go get some stuff.
Okay, queen.
So we did the front, and then she ended up leaving. And I have this full transformation picture because the garden bed in the back, you know how it was double stacked? Taylor left it. And I used it last year, but the one part, either the top or the bottom, was kind of falling apart.
Yeah.
But there was one box that was still pretty good.
Gucci.
So you're going to be... Did I send you this 3 pictures?
You sent me one picture. Show me the before and
so
after.
this is the before.
Oh my God. I did not know it was that dilapidated.
Oh, yeah, dilapidated. And Ollie's leash gets caught, so it would just like rip the
Yeah.
front. And so all these weeds.
Yeah.
And so
I think those are strawberries.
they are strawberries.
yeah.
They're all throughout the yard.
Yeah, I've wrecked that. Might be. I didn't
Yeah.
know that they were invasive.
And then I'll post these too, guys.
Oh,
on
yeah.
our story. So then I cleaning them up.
Yeah.
The wood looked great.
Yeah.
I nailed them all together.
Oh hell yeah.
Fuck yeah. There was one piece that did kind of fall off,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
That's fine.
And then boom, baby.
It looks so good.
And I mean, I know I probably put too many things in there, but I don't
No,
even
you
care.
didn't.
I want them to be big and fucking messy and fucking smelly to keep the mosquitoes away. So my mom leaves, and I was just looking at that in the back, and I was like, I have to do it. I have to go do it right now. Because I wanted to be outside so bad.
Yeah.
But the mosquitoes were killing me.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, I was going to do what I tell you, a little
Citronella.
herb garden
Yeah.
at first. And I was
Oh, I
like,
thought you were
fuck
talking
that,
about-
actually. I'm never going to cook with
You
it.
could do that inside. You know, you don't even need
Exactly.
herbs
Or I could
outside.
get a flower, but like
Yeah.
a tall one.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need to get something
Or
for
pots.
mosquitoes. So I looked it up. They're like sage, lavender, marigold, citronella. I'm like, got it. I looked it up. Can all
love
3
them.
of these be planted in the same box? They're
Yep.
like, yeah, actually, they're great. I'm like,
They're slay
great. That's
together.
wonderful. So then I went, dropped some bands and lows.
Yep.
Came back, spilled an entire bag of mulch in my trunk.
No, Morgan.
Yes, not mulch, should I say. Fertilizer.
No. Like you're planting soil.
Yeah. And
That smells
'cause
ass.
I had a little latch for
Yeah.
the top of the trunk, and it sticks up like a straight peg.
Yep.
And I slid the bag in, I didn't know, and it just ripped the bottom. So when I picked it up,
It just poured out.
I was like, oh God.
No,
so
that's
that was
bad.
kind of annoying. But yeah. So I am
Good,
to
I'm
see,
glad.
Flowers.
Feels so good though, doesn't it?
Yeah. it
Break
does.
them up on the end,
Got a
get their
new
hair
hose, 'cause,
loose.
you know, we had the hole in the one.
hole
So that
in
was nice.
Yeah, that's good. Marigolds are so easy. And the lavender sage and all that stuff. I thought I killed mine a year and a half ago. It came back this year.
They're back, baby.
I'm like, bitch, what the fuck? Marigolds I only put in the garden, just whatever. But I had to put chili powder and cinnamon around every freaking flower and plant that I have planted this year in the ground because I have a team of squirrels and bunnies that have it out for me. And I'm like, I'm not gonna like, I don't want to like kill them or like put out like actual deterrent for them because I don't like doing that. I don't even do it to snakes. That's just like, I feel like nothing would actually grow in my yard if I did that. And like, you don't want to put that near the food that you're growing. Right. So like, I try to only do like natural things. Like there's nothing, I don't have any treatments on the yard. I'm fucking weird about it. I went around and I put all like chili powder and cinnamon. Too, am I scratching it bad?
Your chest, like your shoulder chest.
Oh, I am.
No, like right here. It's really
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I looks like I just got mauled by a bear. I just looked down at my arm. Yeah, I have been scratching it while you're sitting here talking. Guys, this was insane. Friday, this squirrel jumps off of the tree that's like by my office window onto the roof, runs up to my window, slams into it, starts banging on the window.
Hello?
And I was like, wait, what the fuck? So I go and I get the cats, and all three of the cats are just sitting there watching the squirrel. And then I realized that it couldn't get down. It was scared to jump onto the little wire that would take it back.
Fucking pair.
Like, and then its mama, it was a baby, and its mama came out and was walking around the yard looking for it. So I like opened up the window. I'm like, your baby's up here, darling. Like, your baby's up here. And she climbed up there after I shut the window. She climbed up there and she got her baby and took her baby back down. And then the two of them went over to the flower garden. I'm like, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just saved your baby, and now you want to go eat my fucking flowers?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, I know their mouths.
I just Snow Whited you.
Were burning, bitch.
Oh.
They were over there trying to eat my flowers, and I saw them like jump up and like drop it all and like run away. I was like, yeah, don't chili powder, bitch.
That was Ollie with the hot Italian sausage that he demolished yesterday.
Oh my God.
Raw. You know his ass is burning.
Oh yeah, I know.
Last night he was waddling.
Don't be dramatic. We don't feel bad for you.
And then he was.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you hurting, dude?
Yeah, you like, ate my dinner, bitch.
You probably have fucking E. coli too. Also,
yeah, because you ate raw sausage links.
It's disgusting.
The hell. Also, fun fact: I knew this, but like I didn't realize how rare it was. Did you know there's only 3 cities in the world that are national park cities, and Chattanooga, Tennessee is one of them?
I saw that on Facebook like a month ago.
Yeah,
and it was like
I didn't know it was that rare.
I thought it was Chattanooga the first national park city.
Maybe it was
first national park city.
Maybe it was. There's only 3. And the other 2 are in different countries.
Huh.
It's the only one in the U.S.
Yeah. That was maybe the headline, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I knew that. I didn't know that they were so rare. I thought it was just like everywhere that had a national park.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that there was national park cities.
And then have you heard the theories? Like, it's because they're building under the grounds and under the mountains of the secret cities for the
they probably
doomsday.
are. And
I'm like that. Hey, at least we're close. You know?
Yeah, at least we could get there.
Yeah, we could get there. And
will we get in? I don't know.
Pods, do you remember my dream that I had all those years ago where Susan gave me the dates when we crawled out in whatever.
In the bunker. But we were in Key West, but we started
in like Cleveland, Tennessee, and we went down into a bunker and came up in Key West.
Maybe there's a tunnel.
Maybe I just was like foreseeing that. And then Susan's going to be standing there and give us 2 dates when we come out.
I had the craziest dream the other night.
What?
So I was in like Seattle with Aaron, right?
Okay.
And I had my mom's husky Coda with us.
Okay.
And Aaron and I are walking in this little town square. I run into some of these girls that I know, like friends of friends. Mm-hmm. And I was so nice. I was like, you guys look great. Like, what are you doing here? You know, just chatting it up. And then I started walking away. Well, then we went to bed that night. Someone broke in. Coda escapes. So we go back out like early in the morning, middle of the night. And I run into them again. And they were like, hey, Maddie, your best friend.
Yeah.
From home.
Hair girl,
Maddie said you called me fat. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I would never say that.
I would literally never say that. That would not come out of my mouth. So
like ever.
No.
And she was like, well, are you going to admit it? And I was like, no, I would never.
Why would I admit that?
I would never say that.
That wouldn't come out of my mouth.
And I was like, call Maddie right now. I did not say that.
Get her on the horn, bitch.
So she calls up Maddie and Maddie's like, yep, you did. I'm like, why is everyone turning on me right now? I didn't say that. Like, why are you, now
why are you
like
lying?
This group of girls that want to fight me. So then I'm like, okay, well, that's fucking, like, sorry that she's telling you that, but that's not true. And then one of the other girls says to me, she was like, well, maybe it's you that's fat since you're eating for 2. Well, maybe not yet. Says that to me, like a pregnancy premonition.
No.
So then I'm already freaked out, right?
Yep.
So then Maddie's now in Seattle, and we're in her car, and we're driving. And I've had dreams of this kind of road before.
Yeah.
I'm driving on a road in the lake, but like, have you ever seen those videos where when the tide is up?
Shut up, bitch! I know where you're driving. You're driving Volvo where Twilight was riding. I know where you were at. Don't even act like you need to describe it to me.
You know the videos where the tide comes up over the ocean of the roads, and people are driving, and you can't see the road. Well, Maddie's driving, and the road is like that.
If Maddie was driving, I was in that.
See the road. And
Hell
I'm
no.
like, oh my God, we're going to die. And her husband's on the phone. He's yelling at us. She's cackling. But I was like, we have to find Coda. Like, where's the dog? It was the craziest dream
No, that's insane.
ever.
No, that's insane.
Ever.
No. Oh, me and Morgan are drinking a little something,
yeah.
something. I found out Morgan had a bad day. I'm like, I'm having a bad day too.
She was like, you need a drink. I was like, no, because if I get drunk, then she's like, tequila. I'm like, oh, great. But if I get drunk, I'm afraid I'm going to be mean to the listeners.
Like, well, there's no need to be mean to these listeners, even though we have gotten a few rather. They're nice, but not my fave types of reviews.
Yeah.
Like 3-4 stars.
Those ones are just like annoying. Like, just
Yeah.
don't review them.
Yeah.
Unless you're like blown away or unless you hate it.
Well, the one that got to me was like, I was listening to an episode from 3 years ago and the audio sucked. I'm like, oh, whoa.
Whoa. It's like when you watch a movie from 1990 and you're like, wow, these graphics are terrible.
It's like we've only ever warned you 9,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
But, whatever. I appreciate that people are still trying to listen. So
that's nice.
that's fine. But anyways, we had a little bit of a rough morning. So I got on TikTok and I said, what is the spritz of the summer? And this is what popped up.
delicious.
Tequila, equal parts lemon juice. I would say I did equal parts simple syrup because me and Morgan don't not necessarily love the taste of tequila. And then you shake that up and then fill your glass about halfway with it. And then you top it off with, you're supposed to do rosé Prosecco or champagne, but I just did regular Prosecco.
And I love these glasses. Where are they from?
Yeah, these are the ones that we got for our bar cart.
What?
Yeah, these are
Great
ours.
choice
I know,
on
we
our
did a good
end.
job. And then I put a pineapple in it because it looked cute.
It
And then
does
a piece of rosemary because it looked
Like
cute.
that right there looks like Twilight to me.
Oh, here she goes. Here she goes. We've had 2 Twilight references.
And then we're going to talk about Secret Lives of Mormon Wives on Pipe and Hot Goss.
Pipe and Hot Goss.
Because you're
yes.
finished.
Yeah, I finished. So I'm ready
Okay,
to
well, if you want to hear that, then
spell.
definitely go head over to our Patreon /Creeps
Creeps
and
and
Crimes.
Crimes. Okay, we'll get to the episode now. Hit them with it.
If you're driving, throw that shit on cruise control.
If you got a glass, pour that shit up.
And let's get creepy.
Okay, Morgan Poo, what do you have for us today?
So today's topic is recommended by Lizzie from our Patreon recommendation chat.
Love that.
Who says that this topic sent her down a days-long rabbit hole. So this
Love.
is the mystery of Mount Kailash. Dun, dun, dun.
Where's this at? I'm excited.
Mount, I'm going to
Mount?
probably call it Mount K throughout. I'll say it a couple more times, and I'm going to refer to it as Mount K because it's easier. And then also there is a lot of names that I'm probably going to mispronounce, even though I have the pronunciation. So just mind your business. Don't leave a review about
Bear
it.
with us, okay?
Mount
Kailash.
Mount Kailash is located in the southwestern corner of Tibet within the Ganges Mountains. It is a very remote section of the Tibetan plateau, and the exact location of Mount Kailash in terms of coordinates is 31.06 degrees north latitude and 81.31 degrees east longitude, which lies within Burang County, also known as the Purang County, in the Gari prefecture of the Tibet Autonomous Region of China.
Okay.
The Nagari prefecture lies near the tri-junction of 3 countries, China, India, and Nepal. And it is considered to be in the heart of the Trans-Himalayan mountain range in the Kailash range.
So this is like their Cumberland Gap, where it's like,
kind of.
yeah, it's kind of like that.
Kind of. The Kailash range stretches all the way from India across Tibet. And this isn't your typical mountain range, however. The Kailash range features smooth and pyramid-like mountain formations, versus the rest of the Himalayan ranges that are pretty rugged and pretty harsh.
Oh my God, I went down a Mount Everest thing the other
you?
day. Yeah. I'm
I'm actually on this, how I found this, because I'm on Mount Everest Pack With Me TikTok.
Yeah.
And
that's
then-
also how I went down my thing, because I was learning about the bodies that are up there and like,
yes, I saw that too.
and I go through this like once a year, but like I'm always learning different stories about all, obviously like green boots and all that. You've done Everest, haven't you, before?
I have.
Something that's related to it.
No, I have done. You're probably thinking of the
Dyatlov?
Dyatlov Pass.
No, but there was something I feel like.
And I did one other pass that was.
Did I do Everest?
No.
No.
But that would be a good one to cover.
That would be a
but
fun
I'm
one.
like ready to move on to ghosts and aliens right now.
Hey, but
so-
bitch, you might be in some ghosts. I was that's another thing I was reading about was like ghost encounters. It was third man syndrome where we talked about Everest.
Yes,
that's what it was.
that's
That's what it was.
You're
Okay,
right.
there we go.
The sources of some of the longest rivers in Asia are near Mount Kailash, like Indus, Sutlej, Brahmaputra and Karnali. It also has 2 lakes that have interesting myths from ancient times. First, we have the Mansarovar Lake, which is one of the highest freshwater lakes in the world. These are called like the yin yang lakes. It is believed that the Mansarovar Lake is the good lake.
Okay.
On the other side, we have the Raksha Tal, which is a saltwater lake, and it is known as the Devil Lake. Throughout ancient religion, these 2 lakes have represented that humans have both sides, good and bad, but the mountain in between them represents us, shows that there's no external evil to us, that it actually is something that resides within, meaning that it is possible to be able to be removed, like through pilgrimage and things like that.
Right.
So that's kind of what that stands for, but that's the yin yang lakes. Why can't I talk? The yin yang lakes.
Got you.
And so Mount Kailash sits here, and then you have a saltwater lake and you have a freshwater lake. It's very fucking weird, actually.
Yeah, that is really weird.
Mount Kailash does not break records for its altitude and peak, but it's very distinct because it has this symmetrical shape. It stands at 6,638 meters or 21,778 feet above sea level. In reference to Mount Everest, it's about 2,200 meters shy of breaking that record. But it has other records that it has set, like being one of the most symmetrical mountains in the world and almost perfectly aligned with the 4 cardinal directions and looks more like a pyramid than a mountain.
Oh.
But before we get into all that, let's jump into what makes this mountain mystical, or better yet, sacred. Mount Kailash is considered sacred in 4 main religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Bon. In all aspects, it is believed to be a celestial link between earth and heaven. In Hinduism, it is often depicted in Hindu art as well as teachings that Mount Kailash is the earthly manifestation of Mount Meru. Mount Meru is the spiritual center of the universe, according to Hindu scripture. So they're saying that Mount Kailash is its earthly representation. So like what they view Mount Meru as the center of the universe up in the spirit realm, Mount Kailash is its version here on earth.
Okay.
It is also believed to be the home of Shiva and his family. Shiva is the supreme being in Shaivism, or Shaivism, the god of destruction and transformation, and one of the principal deities of Hinduism. In Hindu art and literature, we see Mount Kailash act as the home of Shiva, his consort Parvati, and their children Ganesha and Kartikeya. He is described as sitting in a lotus position, engaged in meditation within the confinement of Mount Kailash.
If you're like, what's lotus position? It's like the meditation position.
Yes.
I recently put 2 and 2 together on that.
Oh, really?
One. Yeah,
I always pictured it because like they're always with a lotus flower.
Yeah,
when they're
right
sitting
above
like that,
them in the art and stuff. Yeah.
According to the Hindu scriptures and sculptural depictions, the demon king Ravana shook the mountain after he was refused entry into Kailash, or into the celestial center of the universe. This enraged Shiva, who pressed his toe upon the mountain, trapping Ravana in between. Ravana then sang hymns and praise for Shiva for 1,000 years before he was released. Mount Kailash is a symbol to Hindus of divine peace, wisdom, and transcendence, and they view the mountain as the ultimate site for reflection, meditation, as well as travel there to seek blessings from Shiva. Also, according to NASA scientists, Mount Kailash west face has a massive human-like face that emerges from the rock.
Oh.
And this face looks just like the ancient depictions of the god Shiva.
Oh.
So
that's crazy.
So they're saying
this will be on our Instagram for you guys to see.
Yeah, so they're saying this is the face. Eyes, nose, and mouth.
Okay. Oh shit.
It's kind of hard to see this way, but if you Google search it, and I'll find a better
picture. We'll get a good
wanted
picture. But no, I see the like outline of it from here.
Freaky, right?
No, that's actually kind of weird.
In Jainism, according to scripture, the first Rishabhadeva, or the first supreme teacher of the Dharma, attained liberation, which is the cycle of birth and rebirth, on Mount Kailash. He then obtained both enlightenment and nirvana on this mountain after years and years of meditation. It is believed that after reaching liberation, his son, Emperor Bharata Chakravartin, constructed 3 mound-like structures and 24 shrines of their religious idols in the mountains, or in this region of mountains, and they're all covered in jewels and precious stones. There was large pits that were dug around the mountain later, and the Rear Ganges, which is a river, was made to flow through it, which is one of like the longest rivers in Asia. The 24th and the last teacher of the Dharma, named Mahavira, was taken to the summit of Mount Meru. So this is in spiritual ancient scripture, shortly after his birth, and this is where he was anointed his title as becoming a teacher of Dharma. This is an important pilgrimage site in Jainism, and they call the mountain Ashtapada, which means mountain of 8 steps. In Jainism, the mountain represents detachment and spiritual purity. As far as Tibetan Buddhism is concerned, Mount Kailash is addressed by many other names like Gong Rinpoche, Gong Tis, or Kangri Rinpoche, which means a precious snow mountain. Similar to Hindus, Buddhists suggest that Mount Kailash is the earthly representation of Mount Meru and is the cosmic center of the universe as per Buddhist cosmology. It is a sacred pilgrimage site for many Buddhists, and it is believed to be the home of Demchok, who is a deity that represents ultimate bliss. Therefore, the mountain is believed to be the union of wisdom and compassion. It is also believed as one of the manifestation core principles of Buddhism that circumambulating, so trekking or pilgrimaging around the outside of the mountain range, purifies negative karma and helps pilgrims to attain enlightenment. They also represent Mount Kailash as the center of the sacred mandala, which is believed to be a diagram of the universe and often used while meditating. So Mount Kailash is the center. Vajrayana Buddhists believe that a saint named Saint Milarepa, who is a highly accomplished Buddhist disciple, but also is believed to be this murderer, like before he became Buddhist, when he was like a young boy. He was like, anyway.
That's, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Like
so they
forgiveness
believe that,
and shit.
yeah, Saint Milarepa had a challenge with Naru Boncham, who is a follower of the Bon religion of Tibet. So the two of them, Milarepa and Naru, they were like, well, let's have a battle. We're going to battle each other with smarts and wits. Well, neither of them could decide who won because they were both just so intelligent.
Okay.
So finally, it was agreed that whoever could reach the summit of Kailash first would be the victor. Allegedly, Naru sat on his magic drum to climb up the slope of the mountain, while Milarepa soared past him from riding the rays of the sun, winning the contest.
Okay.
However, for Bon people, the mountain is home to sky goddess Sapaiman, and the mountain was the center of the ancient Bon Empire of Zhangzong. It is the axis of the world for the Bon people. They believe that the mountain serves as an eternal source of spiritual power, and they also will circumambulate or pilgrimage around the outside of the mountain in order to remove negativity and cleanse past karmic actions. They also believe that a journey to Mount Kailash will allow them to connect deeper with nature and spirits. As per Tibetan beliefs, the mountain was the center of the universe mandala and the source of the mythical lion, horse, peacock, and elephant rivers that flow in the 4 cardinal directions in the mandala, period. As you can see, this is a very, very spiritual mountain, and almost all religions that view it as spiritual have almost the same conclusion, that it links the physical and the metaphysical realms. It has symbol all over a balance, unity, harmony between the material world and the divine, and that this mountain is the center of the universe. It is the meeting point of earth and heaven. And this claim actually stumps scientists and geographers because while they haven't came right out and said it, its placement on earth is definitely interesting.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
I was wondering why you're giving coordinates. I was like, okay, here we go again. Part 2 of coordinates.
Yeah, according to Ace of Himalaya, the distance from Stonehenge to Mount Kailash is 6,666 kilometers. The distance from Mount Kailash to the North Pole is 6,666 kilometers. But the distance to the South Pole to Mount Kailash is 13,332 kilometers, which is exactly twice the distance from Stonehenge and the North Pole, which doesn't place it as the center of the earth on land, but it's definitely interesting. Another strangely yet strategically placed landmark to add to our very long list of this global network of mystical sites that create some sort of energy grid. Moving on, another thing to note is that no one in history has summited this mountain.
What?
No one has climbed to the top. Mount Kailash remains one of the few major peaks in the world that has never been climbed. The reason for this, which could be a physical challenge, but maybe not, is more so the profound spiritual significance that it holds for millions of people. For centuries, the sanctity of Mount Kailash has pushed away climbers, and even modern mountaineering expeditions have avoided attempts out of respect for its religious importance. In 2001, China officially banned all climbing attempts, further solidifying its status as an unclimbed and untouchable peak. However, There is that one rumor that I briefly talked about of one man that did make it to the summit successfully and lived to tell the tale. Saint Milarepa, who is the
murderer child turned saint.
Murdering child Buddhist, who battled off with the bondman, Naru, and raced to the top on this ray of sunlight. Milarepa is a 12th century Tibetan Buddhist, and according to the legend, he came across secrets of the world that the world should not know on his journey up to the mountain.
Look.
Because of this, he came back down and he urged people not to climb the holy mountain. He said this because climbing the mountain will disrupt and disturb God, Shiva, God of destruction, and we shall never disturb our God. Over time, there have been a few trekkers and mountaineers that have tried pretty hard to reach the peak of Mount Kailash. British climbers Hugh Rutledge and R.C. Wilson tried to climb it. Rutledge failed to climb the mountain as a sudden drop in the temperatures led to a lot of snow, a lot of mist, a lot of fog that started covering the mountain, and so he was forced to return back to base. A similar kind of situation happened with R.C. Wilson, and he was also unable to climb Mount Kailash. And then there was Italian mountaineer Reinhold Messner, who was asked by the Chinese government, was given the opportunity to climb the mountain in the mid-1980s. He was like he was the mountain climber.
Guy.
And he was gonna do it. Some time goes by and he's like, actually, I respectfully decline. He says, quote, if we conquer this mountain, then we conquer something in people's souls.
No, that's true though.
Like, that's so fucking respectful.
Like, I don't want that responsibility on me.
Yeah.
Personally.
Like, that's so kind.
That's
though.
Really thoughtful.
Like, that's respecting so many different religions. That shows you, like, too, how, like, the most top of the top, like, outdoorsmen and, like, hikers and these people that are, like they have to have, like, this, like, harmony with the earth and the way that they go about it. For sure.
We talk about it all the time. We call it spiritual law, earthly law. Like, we're like, there's things that are just against the spiritual laws that there are. Like, whatever they are, there's things that are against it.
And they're in tune with it.
And he was like, nope, I thought about it.
He's like, actually, yeah, it'd be so cool to be the first person.
Be dope to do it.
But actually,
also, like, if you break that seal, I guess, it's like, okay, then what stops other people from wanting to beat me? Like, they're going to want to beat my time.
This is the only unsummited mountain
that's significant. Earth. Like that.
Like, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
So after he denies, the Chinese authorities prohibited summiting the mountain for anybody. However, there is some rumor of a couple other groups that have attempted, maybe under the radar, but definitely before this law was placed that you cannot summit. Allegedly, there are these young men from Siberia, probably around their 20s and 30s. They were young in the late 1900s that attempted to summit the mountain. But rather quickly, they realized that something was off. Only a few hours into the journey, they realized that they were aging. Their hair was growing, their nails were growing at such a rapid pace in hours that it wouldn't be possible unless they were there for weeks or maybe even months.
Oh, shut up.
So they turn around.
Yeah, I would too.
Well, not even a year or two after they attempted to climb the mountain, they allegedly all died, and their manner of death was old age.
What?
Which brings us to a possible time warping theory about Mount Kailash.
Oh, let's go. I'm here.
Now, it's believed that this theory has some cultural and psychological aspects behind it because the trek around Mount K involves a considerable amount of physical stress, for sure. And at high altitudes, the body obviously has to work harder to get oxygen, which is going to lead to fatigue and exhaustion and dehydration. And add an exposure to extreme cold, rapid weather changes, we are really straining the body, which you then can produce physical symptoms if in your head you have this psychological rumor going on that, like, there's time warping here, like, I'm gonna age. Your body can manifest those, like, that is a thing.
I mean, we've literally watched, I mean, how many times as a girl, raise your hand, have you literally made it to where your period doesn't come?
Right, and you have... Yes.
Yeah, you know, like, where you stress out so bad about it that your period literally doesn't come.
And it goes beyond that for some people. Like, where they get physical pregnancy symptoms.
Like, ghost pregnancies, not chemical pregnancies.
Chemical,
that's
I think that...
But chemical pregnancy is, like, where you have one... Trigger warning, I shouldn't have said that just outright. Chemical pregnancy is, like, where you technically, like, get pregnant, but then before it comes to be, it, like, releases.
Okay, yeah,
you know?
right.
So you still get, like, a period. A ghost pregnancy is it. Phantom pregnancy is it?
Phantom pregnancy.
I'm like, ghost? That doesn't sound right.
And this belief in accelerated aging on Mount K is in connection with its spiritual belief that the mountain is subjective to nature of time. For those going to the mountain for spiritual pilgrimage, some will come back and they'll be like, oh, that felt like eternity. When they really only were pilgrimaging for a couple weeks. But but it felt like years to them. While vice versa, some people who go deep into a meditative state say that their weeks-long pilgrimage felt like a blink of an eye.
Okay, so that's kind of giving
there's,
like Shasta then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like there's some spiritual and psychological things that go underneath this time warping theory. Another claim to Mount K is that the reason people can't reach the top of the mountain is because the mountain changes position. Many climbers allegedly reported that they would be trekking one direction and then out of the blue, they would be going the complete opposite way, or they would completely be in the wrong spot, or they barely even moved at all. Like they're like, we're just moving for hours. Like, how are we left on the mountain when we were going right?
Right.
So, like, a lot of people think that the mountain shifts, like, without you even realizing it. According to local legends and spiritual beliefs, the mountain is the source of, immense spiritual cosmic energy, which will influence biological processes in its surroundings. So, a lot of people also think this is just a psychological effect. Like, they are deep into it. They tune in. If it is a spiritual source, they tune in, they're in this spirit state, and they have no idea what's going on. They're just going with the fucking flow. So if they're trying to go right, but the mountain's like, you're gonna go left,
you need to go left,
you're gonna go left,
right,
and then you're gonna get out of your state and you're gonna be like, how
the fuck did I end up here?
Yes. And some will attribute this unusual occurrence to the powerful energy vortex that is believed to be present at Mount Kailash. Recently, within the past couple years, through satellite observations, NASA discovered that Mount Kailash sends out an uncommon electromagnetic energy wave.
Okay, NASA.
Now, I want to say here that I found about 15 different sources that cited these NASA findings. I even saw it on some TikTok comments, but for some reason, NASA doesn't have an article on it.
Of course they
I
don't.
have no direct source to NASA finding this, so take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. However, experts will disagree about what causes the unusual energy field at the mountain because they can't properly explain the phenomenon either through mineral composition or hidden energy forces. But they did confirm the existence of powerful magnetic distortions in this particular region, which could attribute to the time distortion reports. So if you got some energy fuck up going on there, then yeah, you're gonna warp time, And like I briefly mentioned in the beginning, Mount Kailash is renowned for its 4 distinct faces, each facing one of the cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west. According to the Puranas, each face is believed to be made of a different precious jewel. The north face of gold, the south face of lapis lazuli, the east face of crystal, and the west face of ruby. Each face also symbolizes different emotions and qualities. The north face represents divine strength and authority, reflecting a daunting and powerful emotion. The south face is covered in snow, which signifies majesty and splendor, embodying grandeur and regal beauty. And the southern face of Mount Kailash also features a natural formation resembling the Om symbol or the OM symbol, which is a sacred syllable in Hinduism.
Frequencies too.
Yeah. The west face symbolizes compassion, benevolence, representing spiritual purity and detachment, and the east face is associated with mystery, nurturing, reflecting the approachable and benevolent and the aspects of the divine. Also, interestingly to add, radar mapping that was done indicates that hollow areas together with tunnels could exist beneath the mountain's surface. According to recent discoveries, some theories say that there exists a possibility that Mount Kailash might be hiding an ancient, unknown structure, although there is no official confirmation. However, this was already proposed in the 1990s by a Russian scientist who published research articles that explored the theory that Mount Kailash is not natural, that it is a man-made artificial construction. Specifically, that is a pyramid in that mountain. Because of its triangular shape and how all of its sides, along with cardinal directions, as well as geological and magnetic anomalies, this is a pyramid. A couple of other theories to have your beautiful mind spiral on before I finish up is that it's the home of a hidden underground civilization like Agartha, which I might cover next week actually, because I've never covered
really
them.
Fun.
Or it is a man-made pyramid built by advanced civilization, aliens.
Yep.
Or it's the center of the universe, a place where time doesn't exist and allows our time here on Earth to bend. Could track.
I mean, yeah.
Or it's a vortex of energy. Or it's the bridge from our earth to the spiritual world. And that is Mount Kailash.
Oh my gosh.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't really so much as a conspiracy theory as more like a here's a history lesson.
Yeah, because also like there is...
I love doing stuff like that's Mount Shasta.
Yeah, I like that.
Without the Lemurians.
Yeah, because the Lemurians is going to be the...
Agarthas.
or whatever civilization, because that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And also like when you learn about like these mountains like Shasta, where it's like the frequencies and all this shit, like da 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 da. But this one specifically, like the what is that saying that like
And also interesting to know is that the region is like relatively new compared to like Earth and like Pangea or whatever, but the mountain is so old. It's much older than the region is.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Because like what's that saying that I've said it multiple times, where it's like perfect angles don't exist in nature, that's man-made.
Right.
Like the pyramid,
and the
perfect structure.
Shit.
Yeah, like the closest thing to like a perfect line or a structure or an angle that you get in nature
Did you look up a picture of it by
like
chance?
a tree. No, I didn't. I haven't looked it up yet. Because I want to see what it looks like. What's the name of it again?
Kailash. Kailash.
Wait.
And also like the geograph mineral deposit or whatever is strange because the mountain is only black or white.
Yeah. And then
unless the sun's shining on it, it's black or white.
And like when you see the like pulled back shot of it, it's just towering over everything else that's around it. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
It is stunning.
Oh my God, just to imagine being able to see this.
And there are, I mean, this is a very heavily populated pilgrimage spot. So like you will often see thousands of monks on a pilgrimage around this mountain.
Oh, I see the face.
It's just strange to me that this is, I mean, there's a lot strange about it, but like you have the lakes, you have the yin yang lakes.
And also like one being salt,
and then
one
you have
being
like
fresh.
the source of like 5 largest rivers of Asia coming from this.
Through that.
Then you have 4 different ancient religions that mention this mountain as being the spiritual Mount Meru from the earthly representation of it.
Yeah.
And then you have these current day people who I don't know what their religion is, but they're from the UK. We have some Italians here.
They're like, we're not touching it.
And they're like, we're not touching it. But also when we did touch it,
we
we
were
grew our
dicks.
hair went gray.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, but there's something going like there's a spiritual significance. And look, we always say this, like energy follows intention no matter what. So like even if it was nothing before, that place holds so much energy in it that like, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, Christian historic, like significant places. Like these locations hold so much energy because so much thought goes towards them. And, you know, especially one like this where it's for meditation. And meditation is genuinely an exchange of energy.
You know what I just thought about?
What?
I don't know why, but like, has anyone ever looked at the locations of all of these like spiritually significant locations when it was Pangea?
I was thinking that when I was like, wait, where was it in Pangea then? When
Like,
you
how
were
did
saying
they
that it was the
connect
center
in
of the
Pangea?
universe. And
But like,
this
is Pangea even real? Because like, aren't people being like, that's not real?
No, Pangea is real.
But like lately though, the last couple
people
years,
are saying that it's
like,
not real. But if that was the case, then
then
how do you explain the Appalachian Mountains being the same mountain range that's
You're
in
right.
Scotland or whatever the
Yeah,
fuck?
you're right.
Like it's connected in Ireland and
But
the
like,
UK.
how do all of these line up? Like,
I don't
and
know.
also, why is it 6,666 kilometers?
Well, then think
from the
about how
North
much
Pole,
to-
Stonehenge, and then double to the
the
South
six
Pole.
six 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 six. That's rough. But you know, I think people can say what you want, and I hope no one takes this in the wrong way. But 666 to have just like the combination of sixes.
Right,
Let's put it
yes.
like that. Not let's not say it like 333.
Right,
You know,
like
when threes
horror
are
films
fours.
have ruined that number.
Yeah, and like I get that there's a significant spiritual standpoint from it in terms of like the devil's number because it's, you know,
was a
9 and that's
satanic
3
panic.
threes.
That really
and-
pushed that.
Yeah, well, because it's about the Trinity, the Holy Trinity being threes. So then if you had 3 threes, that's 9, and then 9 upside
Right.
down 6. Like, okay, like I see the numerology. If you guys want to believe
Right,
in
it's there.
numerology for a little bit, I think that like you were just saying, like it's gotten such a bad rap for no reason because I think in order for everyone to care so much about sixes being in a line, there has to be some major significance behind it.
For sure.
In whatever way. Like maybe it's kind of like how the apple is where it's there, but you just don't, you know, in terms of Christianity or the apple's there, you can look at it, but you don't touch it. Is it kind of like a thing like that because it holds so much significance in it?
Yeah.
And then we have like all, you know, when we covered the pyramids, when you've talked about like their locations from everything's always been like 666, there's the 666 in it. Okay. We need to double back on this. Someone look it up. What is that about? And then when you look up angel numbers of sixes. It's all about love and da da da. Not saying that.
We see it a lot.
Yeah, we see six a lot. And I like the number six. It's cute.
Yes.
You know,
really cute.
it's a cute little number.
My number actually growing up was 26 on every team, soccer
Look
and
at
softball.
that. I was 15, so 5 + 1, 6. Numerology again.
My mom's birthday is 6663.
Oh my God, that's still like Trinity numbers.
Yeah.
Mine's 6, 27, 7, 8, 9. 6, 9.
Wait, what?
0, 6, so June, plus 27, so 6, and then 7 + 2 is 7,
9.
8, 9. So then technically, the numerology would be 69.
Mine is 26. That's my number. That's my number. Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck
My birthday is 02. And then 24626.
Wait, that's crazy.
That's my number.
That's crazy.
God, I was a fucking numerology genius, clearly.
Look
and
right
I forgot
then.
about it.
There you go. There you go. You had no
Okay.
idea.
New number unlocked.
New number.
Again, 26.
You know what I've been seeing
I'm changing my
lot
Instagram.
of?
Morg.mwg26.
I've been seeing 777 everywhere.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of angel numbers. I got a lot of 111s, 1111s.
I had 888s, 222s, 444, and then adding it. So all of our OG numbers have come back to me. 627, which is my birthday. I have seen, I mean, I've talked about it a lot, but like I have seen it, no shit, every single day.
Yeah.
Every single
you
day.
have. You'll even point it out.
I'll
say it.
Yeah, you'll literally be like, oh, it'll take me 6 minutes and 27 seconds. I'm like, it's my birthday.
That's my birthday.
It's
You freak.
literally my birthday. Yeah. Wait. 6, 7, 8. Wait, no. 6 plus 7, 12, 13.
Where are you at it right now?
14, 15. Wait. Wait.
Wait, what are you adding?
6 plus 7 is 13.
Okay.
13, 14, 15. Mine, June plus 27, 6 plus 27, or
Is
plus
15?
2, 7 is 15. That was my number.
Dude, what the fuck?
Wait, what? Everyone, what was your elementary school basketball number? And
Soccer number, softball number,
whatever
baseball
it is.
number, whatever it was. Wait, what the fuck?
Wait, what the
Mine
fuck?
was 26.
Wait, I'm getting hot in the face because
My YouTube back then was Platinum 26.
No.
My YouTube channel. And it was spelled wrong. You guys will never find
Yeah,
it. So good fucking luck, okay?
Good luck, babe.
Because I spelled platinum in a way that no bitch would
no
ever
would
figure
ever
out.
do. Oh, that's crazy weird. How did we even get here? Were we talking about numerology?
I don't know,
of
but I'm
6?
going to pee my pants. So
Yeah, I'm literally
gonna
about to
wrap
pee.
up.
Yeah, okay, let's move on. Thanks, Morgan. That was a good one.
Thank you.
And you got us all thinking and adding up our elementary school sports
is
numbers. That's crazy. Okay, we're done. Our drinks are chopped off. We're ready to come back with part 2 of all this, aka my story that's not a part 2. Don't freak out and think that you missed a part 1. I hope everyone's in a spiral doing the plus and minuses of the numerology of their
birthdays and their childhood number.
their childhood numbers.
I'm geeked.
I have to, like, you guys have to comment and tell us if you had a correlation.
Like,
I'm
how
freaked.
does that happen?
And also think about your birth year too. Like if you need to add your birth year together, you get to it. That might be a thing. But no, I think it. Ooh, that's crazy.
I had no idea.
Crazy. So this case, I was scrolling through TikTok and this girl came across my FYP and she was like a true crime content creator, similar to me. I don't know how the fuck it got served to me because I don't watch true crime on that TikTok, knowing damn well that it will just consume the entire feed. But this one somehow made it through and her storytelling had me like in it in 5 seconds. Her TikTok name is Baby Lily Backup 01. I just 10 out of 10 recommend you go follow because the way she tells stories are unbelievable. I can never tell a story like that. So this case was served to me on a platter by our girl Baby Lily Backup 01. I knew right then and there I had to bring this case to you because I was just blown away. When an 18-year-old girl returns home from college for Thanksgiving break in 1989, her family was thrilled to have their daughter and sister back at home with them. But that all changed when she never returned home from her daily jog. Their worst fears were confirmed when her body was found floating in a nearby river. Unfortunately, the case would go cold, so cold that the girl's family truly thought that it would never be solved. That is until 30 years later, when 2 women broke the case wide open while gossiping at a local water park. And with the help of another woman, justice would finally be served. This is the case of Mandy Stavik.
I'm in.
Kill
Water
it.
park gossip.
Yeah, I see, that was it for
That's
me.
us.
When I learned that gossip and 3 women solved this case, I'm in. Like, you don't even need to tell me anything more. I'm researching it.
Baby.
Born on April 16th, 1971, and raised in Acme, Washington, so like Washington State, Amanda Teresa, or as she went by, Mandy, was a star athlete, top student, and a well-loved friend at Mount Baker High School, where she played basketball, ran track. Some reports said that she also played softball and was a cheerleader with dreams of becoming an airline pilot when she graduated in May of 1989. She had a really good head on her shoulders and was described by many people as a true light. Mandy was fun-loving, kind, and always willing to go on an adventure. She wanted to live life to the fullest and try everything that she could because she knew how precious life was. You see, Mandy was born actually in Anchorage, Alaska, to her parents Glenn and Mary as the third of their 4 children. She had an older brother named Brent, who was 12 years older than her, and an older sister named Molly. But tragedy would strike when Mandy was just 4 years old. On August 5th, 1975, when the oldest son, Brent, who was 16 at the time, never returned home from a bow hunting trip. Because he was hunting on land that belonged to the Fort Richardson Army base, which he was authorized to hunt on, a search was quickly organized for him. Eventually, they were able to locate his body and found that he had been shot to death. And it was very clear that this was not an accident. Unfortunately, Brent's case would never be solved to this day. And the family didn't have proper time to grieve because just months after Brent's murder, Mary would learn that she was pregnant with their 4th child, a son that they would name Lee, now the baby of the group. They tried their best to heal and get it together for him, but it was just all too much, too fast, and just too hard. Like losing a son, going through an investigation, finding out you're pregnant with another baby, trying to like get your life together. It really just broke the family. So Glenn and Mary divorced, and Mary moved to Washington State, taking Molly, Mandy, and Lee with her to just try and get a fresh start. Choosing Acme because of its remote, quiet, everyone knows everyone type of town charm. It was safe, a place where people could leave their doors unlocked, where everyone was willing to lend a hand or a cup of sugar to their next door neighbor. And though Mandy loved her hometown that she grew up in and her family deeply, she had really big dreams and goals for herself, which is why she went on to study at Central Washington University in Ellensburg, just 3.5 hours southeast of her family home. When Thanksgiving break rolled around in November of 1989, Mandy was so excited to return home to visit her mom, sister, and brother. It was the first time visiting since moving away almost 4 months prior. But if we were being honest, she was kind of a little bit more excited to see her beloved dog and running buddy, Kyra, a German Shepherd. And I guess her friends and her boyfriend, Rick, too. So in the first few days, she made her rounds, visiting everyone that she possibly could, which was a lot of people because she was a very popular girl in her community. And on November 23rd, Thanksgiving Day, she enjoyed her big feast with her family and friends, and everything just felt right in the world. Other than the waistband on everyone's jeans, of course.
Of course.
So the next day, November 24th, Mandy decided that she was going to go on her daily run to kind of shake her out of the food coma she had been in since eating Thanksgiving dinner. Typically, her mom, Mary, would ride her bike beside her as she ran, mainly because she loved spending time with her daughter and just in case something were to happen, considering how remote this area is. But Mary was so exhausted from cooking and eating and hosting and cleaning that she decided to just take the day off and let Mandy go on this run by herself, feeling confident that Mandy would be fine considering she would have her loyal sidekick, Kyra, on her route with her. So Mandy strapped on her favorite pink running shoes, and she and Kyra headed out the door, running down Strand Road. Now, of course, I needed a visual to understand this part, so I want to give you guys one too. And Morgan, I'm gonna blurt this out really quickly, and I'm going to give you the address so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to do my best to describe where they lived and where she would run to you, but I know that that's kind of hard for me sometimes. So if you want a picture, I'm going to put it on our Instagram for you. I swear I won't wait nearly a week to post it like I did this week, and I only realized that I waited a week to post 243's picture when I was writing the script this morning. So maybe I'll get that posted for you guys Wednesday, the day before you listen to this, and then I'll post 244 as soon as it goes out on Thursday. Okay, so I know I keep saying that they lived in Acme, but technically they lived like 5 minutes north in this very, very small farming rural town called Clipper. That was a very, like I said, farmy town. The family's house, like Mandy's family house, sat just off of Clipper Road. And if Mandy were to walk out of her front door and to the end of her driveway, she would step on to Clipper Road, obviously, because that's her address. And if she went right, she could go straight, but it was like a gravel road at that point, and that would be the continuation of Clipper Road, and it ended very quickly. Or she could take the big bend that would take her left as she's running down the road, down Strand Road. And this was her favorite route because it was a straight and flat 1.7-mile stretch that took her straight to the beautiful South Fork Nooksack River, surrounded by big fields and sprinkled with homes of some of her closest friends. Once Mandy would reach the river, she would turn around, take a little breather, I'm sure, and then run the 1.7 miles back home. So she would finish off when she got back home from this with an easy and quick 3.5-ish mile run. And that's exactly the route Mandy had taken that day with Kyra. While she was running, so do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I didn't even know Washington was so flat and farmy. I'm just mind blown.
I know.
Now.
I was on Street
I'm actually
View.
zooming way. I'm all
and I was like, babe,
place.
I would love to run. This is actually like a perfect running route. I would be able to get down that, know that I have like a stop and a start and be over it.
Yeah,
you know?
for real.
So while she was running, she passed by and said hello to a local delivery man who everyone knew. I could tell you, his name was Mike. I could draw you a sketch of my mailman and delivery men growing up. You know what I'm talking about? I just knew them when I graduated high school. He brought me a gift and he told us that he was going to be retiring and we all cried.
I didn't know my mailman like that, but
we loved. Well, I was always in the front yard when he'd come, so I'd be like, Mr. Mike, Mr. Mike, you got anything for me today? Ever since I was a little girl.
Imagine being a kid now with Amazon.
Oh, are you kidding me? Well, do Amazon drivers do they do the same routes or no? I know I have a mail girl. I used to have a mail guy, and I got a mail girl now, and I love her.
Amazon does their own delivery. I forgot about that because my guy was buying Coke off my door the other day, yesterday.
Yeah, he was. Guys, we're gonna tell them this story. Tell them this story.
So real quick, my Ring camera picks up my Amazon delivery guy, and I open it up, and he's on the phone. He's like
on speaker,
and he's like, "How much Coke did you pick up?" And the girl on the other line is like, "Like 2 bags." I'm like right at my front door.
Yes.
I'm like, "Oh my god!"
And then he's like, "How much did you guys do last night?" As he's walking out, and I'm like, "Morning,
she was like,
me."
Well, this and a little bit of I couldn't make out.
I couldn't finish out what she was saying, but that was so crazy. Yeah, I was like, "Wait, why would you?" I guess
he's saying Coke.
Your
right?
Ring camera is kind of low key hidden. You wouldn't necessarily think to look right there, especially a man. A woman would pick it up immediately.
How much Coke did y'all do last night?
I picked up 2 bags.
2 bags?
What?
I'm like, what the fuck? What's in my Amazon box? What just got delivered?
And Ollie, meanwhile, is in the back.
He's like, drugs, drug alert,
There's drugs outside, and
narcotics.
It's yeah, that was crazy.
I'm the DEA.
Literally. What if you busted the thing with a DEA hat on? That'd be so funny.
Hilarious.
We need to get him a vest, a harness that says DEA on it.
DEA.
Is it DEA?
Yeah, drug enforcement.
Drug enforcement. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so she passes by the local delivery man who obviously she knows very well because she's like me and always played in the front yard, I guess, David Cracker. And she passed him and said hello as she was running towards the river, so away from home. And then she was spotted for a second time, this time actually by her brother, her little brother, Lee, who was visiting with a friend at the friend's house just off of Strand Road. And when he saw her and Kyra were on their way back home. So they had already gone to the river, turned around, and were headed back. It's very important to note that when Lee saw her, she was less than a mile away from her house, still going strong. Lee didn't think much of it until about an hour later when he's still at his friend's house and the phone rings. And I don't know if it was his friend that answered or his friend's mom that answers, but they're like, "Hey, Lee, this is for you." So he goes to the phone, he picks it up, and it's his mom on the other line, Mary, and she's asking if Mandy was with him and his friend. And he's like, "No, I just saw her running back home less than an hour ago." And she's like, "Okay, well, Kyra ran up to the front door freaking the hell out and Mandy's not with her." immediately.
That's scary, yeah.
So terrifying. So Lee's like, all right, I'm going to drive home. I'm going to drive her route and see if I see her anywhere. So he jumps in the car. He's driving all over looking for his sister, thinking maybe she like twisted her ankle. Maybe something happened. She's on the side of the road. No, there's no sign of her. No sign of her shoes. No sign of her clothes that she's wearing. And mind you, he just saw her. So he knows what she has on. Nothing. So he gets home and together he and Mary call Rick, Mandy's boyfriend. And they're like, yo, have you seen her? Is she with you? Nope. So then they call all of their friends and every neighbor that lives down Clipper Road and Strand Road. No one has seen her or talked to her. Mary's heart sank. That familiar feeling that she had when her oldest son, Brent, was missing took over her. She wasted absolutely no time, not even questioning herself. You know, like in situations like that, I'm sure if you've lived through the trauma of losing one child through homicide and they're missing for a little bit before, like I'm sure you're like, no, she's fine. Like questioning yourself, like, am I overreacting? Am I just doing this because of Brent? She didn't let herself even think like that. She immediately called 911 and reported Mandy missing. And instantly, the search began. Investigators retraced Mandy's steps using the sightings by the delivery driver David and her brother Lee to try and figure out where something could have gone wrong. They drove all over, hoping and praying, honestly, that maybe they would find her like in the brush, injured. Maybe she got hit by a car and like was still okay, but, you know, just needed help. But that wasn't the case. With no trace of her left behind, they really had to think worst case scenario. Mandy had to have been abducted by someone on her run. This was hard for everyone, police and her family, to come to terms with, especially considering this was practically unheard of in this very small, close-knit community. Most of the crimes in the area had been domestic, like someone getting hammered on Memorial Day weekend and fighting their brother-in-law out front, or like petty. Nothing that was violent. Ever. But that was the only thing that made sense. They knew that Mandy was an incredibly athletic and very fast runner. So investigators felt like there was no way anyone would be able to catch her on foot. That girl was a track runner. She did literally. So like they're like, there's no way anyone would be able to catch her on foot. Meaning someone with a car would have had to stop or block her and then more than likely threatened her with a weapon in some way, shape, or form. With this theory in mind, investigators continued searching on foot while going door to door asking if anyone had seen Mandy or if anyone around the time that they believed that she had gone missing had heard or seen anything in general. Bolos were sent out. Every single radio station and news station began spreading the word about the missing local girl. The entire community was horrified and willing to do whatever they needed to, volunteering to help in the search to find her, while also living in terror that with this being the first time that there had been like a violent potential crime in the area, that whoever did this to Mandy would strike again. As the days went on, investigators doubled their search efforts, expanding from land to air and water. 3 days after Mandy disappeared, lead investigator Ron Peterson with the it's spelled like what? W-H-A-T, Whatcom County Sheriff's Office and his team were riding in a boat searching up and down that river that Mandy would run up to when they spotted something pink floating just upriver from them. It was Mandy's pink running shoes. And as they got closer, they realized that they were still on her feet. They had found Mandy's lifeless body just 3 or so miles away from her home. Detective Ron Peterson was at the front of the boat as they pulled up to her. And being a father himself, he was incredibly emotional as he pulled her body to the side of the boat to get a positive ID, realizing that the only thing she was still wearing were her running shoes. She was covered in scratches all over her arms, her legs, and her body. Scratches that he knew all too well. They were from the thorns on the many berry bushes that were in every single corner of their community. And he knew right then that she had tried to run away.
Oh my God.
Detective Peterson pulled her body closer to the boat with the emotions of any girl dad like he was, and just kept saying over and over again to her as they gently pulled her to the bank, I've got you, honey. And guys, this man, he's probably like in his 80s, and he was interviewed on like multiple TV shows about this, and he's just sobbing as he talks about, like, just saying, like, when it was a 48 hours specifically, when Peter, the host, was like, what did you say? Did you say anything to her? What were you thinking? He was like, yeah. He's like, you're the first person that's ever asked me that. And he's just this old man crying. And he was like, I'm a dad, I'm a girl dad, and I just wanted her to feel safe with me. I wanted her to know that I had her. And that fucked me up. Oh my God, that fucked me up. Based on their initial observation of Mandy's body, investigators believe that she was abducted exactly how they had theorized, then taken to a second location, trigger warning for SA and R, where she was raped and sexually assaulted by her attacker, at which point she was somehow able to escape and attempt to flee with only her shoes on, running through the dense forest that surrounds this entire area. And either on foot or by chasing her down on an ATV of some sort, somehow her attacker was able to catch up with her near the river, at which point he struck her over the head with a blunt object, knocking her unconscious. He then took her body into the river and drowned her. Once confirming that she was dead, her attacker must have returned to the location where he had raped her and went about his life as if nothing had happened.
Sick.
Detective Ron Peterson had actually just completed training with the FBI where he learned all about DNA. Because it's 1989.
Yeah.
Specifically, though, the importance of recovering DNA from crime scenes and victims remains to help in solving cases and creating databases in the future. Well, because of the way that her body was positioned in the water, he knew that it was going to be critical for him to use proper recovery techniques that he had literally just learned a month or so before to increase their chances of preserving any viable DNA that there could be left on her remains, especially considering this was very obviously a sexually motivated crime. And then when you have the water element involved, it's so important you try your best to like maintain position. He very carefully and methodically moved her body over to the side of the river and immediately had the ME come and take over to increase their chances of getting a viable sample. And because of his incredible fast thinking and recent training, they actually were able to recover male DNA from Mandy's body during the autopsy.
Wow.
In 1989, Morgan.
Wow, yeah.
And it was semen from a rape kit that they had performed, which confirmed all of their theories as to what had happened to her just 3 days prior. Just as they had thought, Mandy's cause of death was drowning, with water being found in her lungs following the blunt object being hit across her head. As the news of Mandy's tragic death spread, the community was enraged. Hundreds of tips poured into investigators, and they followed up on every single one that they had got, because this doesn't happen here. And every investigator I was so amazed. I was like, this is the type of shit I want to fucking see. Like, this is what I want to see, because all these the sheriff's office, so it's deputies, all these investigators, all these detectives are so incredibly emotional, and they're crying. They're like, it felt like someone did this to our family. Specifically, like, this is our town. People don't fucking do that here. We don't act like that. Like, that's not what we do. And it felt like a personal attack on us.
Good.
And so everything that they did,
not good, but like good that they felt
good
that
that they felt that motivated about it, because that's the type of energy that we need to have. Like, when something happens to someone in your community, period, anything. If something happens to someone in your town, they did that shit to you, babe.
Right.
To your family. People are enraged, and hundreds of tips begin to pour into investigators, and they follow up on every single fucking one. They also went around to any known sex offender in the area, and I don't know if there was a database at this point in time and if you had like register, but anyone who was convicted of a sex crime back then, they went to their houses and been like, what the fuck's up, bitch?
Yeah, where were you?
Where you at? Let me get a DNA sample, queen. Because though this DNA sample would be incredibly helpful, the technology and trust in DNA at this point in time was very, very limited and so new and so small in 1989. So they still had to do that good old fashioned detective work, you know, to get what they needed. Deputies interviewed several initial persons of interest, which of course included Mandy's own boyfriend, Rick, which they very quickly were able to rule out through both DNA and just alibi in general. One of the most common and first tips that investigators actually received from the neighbors and people that lived off Strand Road was actually about this man named David David Succi. He was a local drifter who had been spotted in the area that Mandy was believed to have been abducted on November 24th, the same day that she was abducted. And Succi was well known to police for being a bit of a troublemaker and probably battling with mental health problems, so unpredictable. So they immediately got a warrant for his DNA. They're like, we don't even ask questions, we just want a warrant for his DNA. And they get it, they run the sample, it clears him. Not him.
Wow.
Investigators would obtain and execute 30 more DNA warrants for 30 different men. But
How?
back in 1989, like, I'm just so
Warrants.
blown away. Warrants. Like, okay.
It's not even like, hey, if you don't mind.
No. Maybe
give it
back
to us.
maybe back in the day they were like a little loosey-goosey with this because it was so new, and they're like, holy shit, we actually have DNA. Let's just get DNA from everyone. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need to talk. Like, let's just get that shit.
Yeah,
You
for
know?
real.
They're flying high. They have all these DNA warrants, and they've got 30 men on their list that are potential suspects for them, major persons of interest. They get all these DNAs, they run it against a sample, and not one is a match. Just as quickly as this case warmed up and got started, Mandy's case was going cold, no matter what they did. And they were actually doing everything that they could. And it would remain cold like this, not moving, for 25 years.
Wow.
But no one would ever forget Mandy or stop fighting for her justice. Every and any lead that would come in that could potentially be related to Mandy's case, investigators would explore fully, to the fullest extent. But nothing stuck. That is until 2009. Now, at this point, Detective David Bowie, not David Bowie, David Bowie. I'm like, okay, hold on. Like, wait, baby. Like, wait. David Bowie was assigned lead on Mandy's unsolved case. Now, he had actually gone to the same high school as Mandy and like knew of the family. Of course, everyone knew the case in the town. So back in 1989, when Mandy was abducted and murdered, he was actually a rookie cop just on the force, helping in the investigation and shadowing the amazing detective Ron Peterson. Mandy's case never left Detective David Bowie, and he refused to lose hope. So the second that file was assigned to him and handed over, he began going through every single detail of this case with fresh eyes. He compiled a list of every single person of interest or suspect that there ever was. And then he went back down the list and marked off who had been interviewed, who had a DNA sample that was compared, and if they were cleared, why they were cleared, when one name stood out to him. It was a local drug dealer named John Wisniewski. John had been questioned years earlier after several drunkenly events where he told many different people that he knew who had killed Mandy, but he never gave a name. Now,
I don't understand why men do that.
Why are you...
Why killers or like people that are, even if
that
he's
know
not
of
guilty,
it, get
they're
drunk
like,
and at a bar.
I know.
who
sorry,
did-
you have bragging rights? Like,
Right.
what the fuck? What are you bragging about?
Why do you think that's something
Aiding
that
and
we want to
abetting?
fucking hear
Like,
you? The fuck?
Jail.
So John had been questioned years earlier. He said he believed he knew who killed Mandy, but he refused to expand on his theory to police, and he wouldn't give them any names or help them in any way. So just to be safe, because of his track record,
Sorry.
I was like, whoa. Because of his track record, they took his DNA and they cleared him and took him off the suspect list back in the day. So years and years prior. But something about John and just like reading his name and seeing that he was cleared really nagged at Detective Bowie. He just wanted to sit down with John face to face, and maybe after all these years had passed, John would be willing to, give a name or something that he knew. But here's the problem though. John was now living in Cambodia.
Sorry.
Huh? Like, what? Detective Bowie, that didn't stop him though, babe.
He went.
He jumped on a plane. He said, I'm going to need resources.
Round trip to Cambodia.
We're going to Cambodia. He pulls up at John's house. I'm sure John shit a brick when he saw this guy that I'm sure he knew, because everyone knows everyone in this town, being like, what the fuck, brother? And they just start chatting, and he's like, dude, like, all these years have passed. Like, can you just be for real with me and tell me like who you thought did it? And once again, John doubles down and refuses to expand. John's like, quote, I have no idea who was involved, man. I don't know anything about Mandy's case. Detective Bowie, after hours of talking with John, was forced to just return home with nothing other than the knowledge that John was very clearly lying through his teeth because he knew something.
Yeah.
He could tell by his body language, by the way his voice changed, by the way he got nervous. He's hiding something. So Detective Bowie returns home, and that something that John must know swirled around in his brain for the next 3 years until he got a call from 2 local women that would change everything about this case. It's June 2013. And a group of local women had made plans to meet up and take their kids.
Forgot about this.
To the gossip, here we go. To a local water park for like a play date on a hot summer day. This group of moms were sitting in the grass watching their kids as they just went up and down the water slide in the park in front of them. And
Watch me.
Literally.
Watch this.
Mom, watch this. When we come down, we're going to do a swirl. Oh my God. Morgan, I can't wait for that because we're going to literally not pay attention. Like, wow, honey, that was so good. That was so good. We saw the whole thing. That was so good. Meanwhile, we'll have Aaron and Logan in the water.
Yeah.
Because none of my kids are ever going to be at a water park without one of us standing right there beside them.
Right. No, really.
No, like that makes
was crazy. My mom just let me run free.
No, like, what were you guys thinking? Maybe it's because it's the true crime podcasters in us, but I could never.
Different times, but not
Different
really.
time, not really. Here we are, 1989, 2013.
And I was just free reign at the water park. We're going to go on this slide that's across
My
the whole
mom's like,
park.
whatever.
My mom's like, have a great time. I'm going to be right here in the lazy
Tanning.
river tanning.
Yeah, that's exactly what my mom was doing.
Like, okay.
Sitting there talking with Amy, having a little drink.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, okay, girls, be back. Okay, so 2013, this group of moms, they're letting their kids just get all their energy out. And I think their kids were like all the same age. And I want to say like either early middle school, late elementary school, okay? They're just sitting there in the grass on their like little towels and everything in a group talking. How fun.
How fun.
Love that for the moms. And one of the moms in the group brought up Mandy and her case. And they were just like, I just can't believe after all these years, like we don't know anything. You know, it's been over 20 years since anything had moved in her case and since she had been abducted and murdered. And 2 of the women in the group who were actually only acquaintances at the time, like they knew of each other, but they were never hanging out with each other. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. 2 of these women in the group both mentioned how they had gone to Mount Baker High School, like Mandy, and thought about Mandy very often because like anyone that went to this high school knew one member of the family and knew Mandy's story personally because they all lived in the same area, zoning, you know? Now, these 2 women were Heather Backstrom and Marilee Anderson. Like I said, they were only acquaintances, but never close friends or the type that like hung out until their kids became friends. So this was their first time like ever really hanging out, not one-on-one, but like in a group where they were talking, specifically where they were discussing Mandy's case with each other. Well, as this group of women are discussing Mandy's case, Marilee, for the very first time ever in her life, mentioned how she had always suspected that a well-known local guy was responsible. Heather nearly fell over when she heard Marilee say this because she had thought the exact same thing about the exact same guy for years, but had also never told anyone about her suspicions either. This is, like I said, this is a very fucking small town. So small. And to make an allegation like they were right then and there at that water park in June of 2013, that would have been a really risky and big deal back in time, you know, like especially when it was more fresh. So they had always kept this bottled up out of fear that someone would retaliate or that it would cause some unnecessary drama. But for whatever reason, that day at the water park, Marilee decided to share with the group of moms her thoughts, and Heather followed suit. The 2 women moved on from the conversation with the rest of the group, but later on in the day, they pulled one another aside to chat privately. And for the first time in decades, the women said his name out loud, Tim Bass. Last name Bass is triggering for us over here at CNC HQ.
Yeah.
So immediately guilty. Last name Bass.
Start with an M?
Guilty as fuck. And they confided within each other that they knew for a fact that it was him. It wasn't a suspicion like they had told the group. They knew for a fact because of their personal experiences with this man, exchanging their horrifying stories with each other for the first time. Heather explained that it was the summer of 1989, just months before Mandy was murdered. Heather was 15 at the time, and Tim would have been in his early 20s, and I actually saw some sources that said he was 22 at the time. They had been at a softball game when a large group decided to go to Dairy Queen after for some ice cream and just hang out. They all piled into one of their friends' cars, and Heather ended up in the middle seat with Tim to her right. Mind you, he's 22, she's 15. What the fuck is a 22-year-old doing with a 15-year-old?
Right.
Now, during this car ride, Tim kept whispering into Heather's ear, saying how beautiful she was. Your eyes are just unbelievable. I've never seen eyes like that. They can see through to my soul.
Fucking
And then
gag.
he grabs a pin out of the cup holder and he begins running it down her thighs, up her thighs, and across her knees because she was wearing these like short sweat shorts. As a 15-year-old, Heather was very uncomfortable and nervous about this entire situation. She's trying to play it cool, not causing a scene. Because, you know, like me and you in 2025, if this were to happen, we'd be like, get the fuck away. What the fuck are you talking about, you dumbass? Like, but like back in 1989, as a 15-year-old, you're like, oh, let me keep the peace. Let me play it cool. And thank God for everything that has gotten to the amazing women and feminists that have got us to this point where we are not fucking scared to be like, you're making me uncomfortable. Fuck off, you know?
Like,
and that just shows
sexual abuser.
Right.
We're not hiding it.
We don't fucking hide anymore. We're not secretly talking about it or chatting about it. We're seeing it right then and there. You're making me uncomfortable. Fuck off. Like, I'm done.
And we're also teaching the next generation that privacy is not a, what is the saying? Privacy is not a request, or it's something like that. Privacy is not a request.
And no is a full sentence.
Yeah.
Period.
And no is a full, what did you say?
No is a full sentence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no is a full sentence.
Thank you, Mary Kate and Ashley. And Elizabeth Olsen. WandaVision.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So, you know, she's trying to keep the peace, as any 15-year-old little girl in 1989 probably would have done. And she's just like waiting for the moment to get the fuck away from him. So when they finally get to Dairy Queen, she gets out of the car and she goes like with her besties, you know, get the fuck away from him. But something about this haunted her. It was dark, it was ominous, and she felt like if he had the chance, he would have done a lot worse in terms of violating her personal space. Marilee explained that she also had a very dark experience with Tim, one that showed what he truly was capable of. So this is like the escalation point. She explained that in July of 1991, so this is 2 years later, he would have been 24 at this point in time. She's at home alone with her like newborn son. He wasn't like a fresh baby, but he wasn't a year old and he was like less than 10 months. So like baby. And you know, at that point in time, you're still trying to fucking figure out like, hold on, what do I do with this thing? Fucking... Did I actually?
What the hell?
I saw this girl and she was like, I have a 9-month-old and all I can think in my head is, what the fuck just happened? What did I do? Like, I just changed everything for the rest of the time. Like,
I saw a video that's like, no more rotting. There's no more vegging out.
Yeah, no.
That's the thing I miss the most. I'm like,
No, that's the best birth control you could ever give me.
I love to rot.
Rotting
and vegging
and
out.
Death scrolling.
And that's going to have to be like a guideline for Aaron. Like, you're going to have to let me veg.
We're going to have to get, honest to God, we need to like, what me and you need to do as a corporation, as a company.
Get a veg house.
No, we need to be able, instead of doing like full maternity leave pay, our maternity leave will pay for a night nanny. Because that's what you need. Like, that's what each other needs. We need a night nanny. Night nanny, aka we're going to pay Bethan and Tanya to come live up here. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they're going to be doing. Okay, so anyway, so Marilee explains this experience. And she's got her, it's July of 1991. Tim would have been 24 years old-ish. And she's at home alone with her brand new son. And he's just a few months old at this point. She's, you know, finally got him down. It's past dark. She's vegging out. This is her time. And she's home alone. Her husband's working. And there's a knock at the door. She goes to the door. Like I said, this is a very rural area. So like for there to be a knock at the door, like this better be good.
Yeah.
You know, this has got to be
probably someone you know.
Someone you know that's coming over. So she walks over to the door and it's Tim Bass standing there. She opens the door, of course, and she's like, come in, babe. Like, she recognizes him. She knows him. She went to the same high school as her. She knows his family. He's a very well-known family in the area. Not to mention the fact that her husband and Tim were like close friends. They hung out a lot. So she's like, Tim, babe, what? It's like if Aaron was knocking at my door. What the fuck are you doing, babe? Get inside. Like, what's going on? So he comes inside and he's like, oh my God, I've been hunting all day. I was supposed to get home a little bit earlier, but do you care if I use your phone? You're the only house that I knew down this road to call my wife and let her know that I'm good. I'm on my way home, because he lived a little while away, which I'm going to get to here in a little bit at this point. And she's like, oh my God, of course, come in, call Gina. So she, tells him where the phone's at, and it's in the kitchen. So she's about to walk away to just like give him his privacy and also like go check on her baby, because what else is a new mom about to do? Right. You got to kind of look busy. He comes in, he picks up the phone, and as she's like walking out of the kitchen, something stops her. Like sixth sense, mother's intuition, whatever you want to call it, female intuition, something stops her. And she felt the need to stay in earshot of this phone call. Tim begins dialing as she's, standing just around the corner from him, steps away, and chills shoot down her spine when she hears the callback tone. Beep, beep, beep. We're sorry. The number that you're calling no longer exists. Please hang up and try again. Mm-hmm. At this point, Marilee had hurried herself to the back towards her bedroom, where her newborn son, was sleeping, and her husband kept his guns, just in case. But she quickly realized that he was right behind her, following her to the bedroom. He stops her, and he tells her that he had driven by her house hundreds of times, wanting to stop by and tell her that he had always loved her and wanted to make love to her tonight.
Fucking disgusting.
I like reading that back, like when things go silent in your brain, that's what's happened in my head, because I could not imagine standing there and thinking like, oh, this is someone I know. This is my husband's friend. Come in. Of course, no problem. And then getting that feeling something's not right. And you're like, let me go get as close as I possibly can to my baby and my gun. And then having him walk up behind you and say this to you.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
In your fucking house at night alone with your baby. There's no words for the panic that would be in my brain, Ew,
that makes my skin crawl.
She instantly shuts this the fuck down and says, get the fuck out of my house right now. And he refuses. He blocks her in the hallway. She backs up into the bedroom where there was another landline. And she picks it up and is like, I'm dialing 911, so get the fuck out now. And he runs and gets the fuck out of the house and drives off. She runs behind him, locks all the doors, goes to all the windows, makes sure that all of them are locked, goes to the back door, makes sure it's locked, and she picks up the phone and she calls her husband. Because he didn't necessarily do anything to her in terms of 1991 shit, there was nothing that she could do.
Right.
What is she gonna do? Call the cops?
They laugh.
So her husband's like, fuck that guy. We're never talking to him again. If he comes around again, I'll fucking kill him. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I'm like hot all over.
But no legal action.
No legal action can happen from that. So she and her husband kind of like keep this to herself, because she was a little, I don't want to say like ashamed, because I don't want to put words in her mouth, but like when a situation happens like that and you're a new mom, like you don't really want to tell anyone that happened to you. And I completely understand. I completely understand why she never talked about this outside of her and her husband.
For sure, yeah.
Because I don't think that I would be able to, in terms of like my pride.
Fuck no, especially then too.
Yeah.
Because you always, whenever you're a new mom, I feel like there's this constant fear of like failure and like not being able to provide safety, and it's like always on the back of your mind.
Right.
That's probably what was running through her head. But
looking back, because hindsight's 2020, like this was someone she knew. This was her husband's friend. This is someone that she grew up knowing. Like, why wouldn't she be like, of course, honey, come in. Like, get the phone if you need. You need to call your wife. Oh my God, love Gina. Give her a call.
Yeah, which makes it even more fucking sickening.
Yeah. But all these years later, after hearing Heather's close encounter when she was just 15 and he was 22, 2 years prior to this happening to her, Marilee knew that they had to do something. So when Marilee got home that night, she put her kids to bed and she picked up her phone and she called her old high school friend, Detective Ken Gates. Both Heather and Marilee sat down then with him, Detective Gates and Detective Bowie, and they went over both of their experiences on record for the first time. And it clicks. Timothy Bass lived just 1 1.3 miles away from Mandy, and his house sat directly on the route that she ran that day, exactly a half mile away from where she turned around at the river.
Wow.
Oh my God. In fact, they had even knocked on the Bass family front door when they were looking for Mandy the day that she went missing and asked if they had seen anything. But that was it, because the Bass family was well known and a well-loved part of their community. Neither Tim, his father Bud, or his younger brother Tom had ever been on their radar prior to this and had never been asked to give DNA. They were not a part of the original 30 sample. So who the fuck is Tim Bass? Timothy Bass had also gone to Mount Baker High School and, like I said, lived just down the street from Mandy. He knew Mandy personally also because his little brother Tom was best friends with Rick and always was hanging out with Rick and Mandy.
Her brother?
No, the boyfriend.
Oh, boyfriend.
Lee's the brother, but you're right. Just 6 weeks after Mandy's murder, Tim got married to a woman named Gina that I was telling you about in 1991. And together they moved out of the area, almost 20 miles north to Everson, Washington, where he worked as a delivery driver for a commercial bakery in the area, like, you know, like a local bread brand.
Yeah.
I think it was like Franz, Franz, but the font, Update Franz, if that's your name. I think we need to change it.
You need to hit up.
Because I, like, from afar, I was looking at the logos and I was like, what the fuck does that even say? Like, what does that even say? They would also have 3 children together, returning home to visit friends and family very often to Clipper or Acme. Investigators then dug into Tim even more after hearing about Heather and Mary Lee's stories. But there was nothing there. He had no criminal record. He had no run-ins with the law. He kept to himself and seemed like a pretty good family man on paper. Still, though, Detective Bowie and Gates believed these 2 women and truly felt that they were on to something. So they decided to pay him a surprise visit at his house in Everson.
Surprise! Shut it!
They play it very fucking cool. Cool as a cucumber, which for me and Morgan is a very much inside joke, but I'm meaning this literally. For me and Morgan, when I say I'm cool as a cucumber, she knows that I'm not cool as a cucumber. And they're just like, hey man, like we're just, you know, we've reopened Mandy's case and we realized that you were never interviewed, but you lived like along the route. So we wanted to just sit down and talk with you to make sure you didn't see or hear anything that day that's kind of like kept with you all these years.
Can you jack off of this cup?
Literally. And at first, Tim decides to play dumb, acting as if he has never heard of Mandy as in his entire life, which was the first mistake out of many that he would make because everyone, and I mean everyone in this area, not to mention on the fucking road that he lived on, knew about Mandy and her case at the very least. Like, they just knew her name, especially those who knew her personally, just like he did. Immediately, they knew that they had their guy sitting right in front of them. But again, cool as a cucumber. We gotta play this cool. Fucking cool. So they kept their wits about them as he looked up at the ceiling and looked around. And this is literally a quote from Detective Gates in his interview with 48 Hours. He's like, Mandy, Mandy, Mandy. Mandy. Oh, wait. The girl that you guys found in the river? That Mandy? That's what Tim says.
Oh my God.
He said he didn't remember hearing or seeing anything that day, and he continued spewing bullshit when finally they began wrapping up and asked if he would be willing to give a DNA sample, a saliva sample to be specific. He was immediately and very obviously thrown off by this, and he stumbled a bit as he said, quote, yeah, no, I've watched hundreds of those crime shows, and I see how many people go to prison because they've given their DNA. What?
Sir?
Like, what you meant to say was something completely opposite of what you said, because what you said was your inner monologue speaking, your conscience
You're gonna go
speaking,
to prison.
saying that if I give you my DNA, bitch, I'm going to prison.
Yeah.
So you might as well just say that, Tim. Even though investigators wanted to put cuffs on that motherfucker right then and there, they had to refrain and be fucking chill.
And warrants weren't as easy to serve in 2013
as they were in 1989 when they were getting all those DNAs. So they thanked him for his time, and they began the 30-minute or so drive back home, mapping out their next moves, something that actually went into effect that night. So they got a surveillance team that followed him that entire night along his delivery route for the bakery, going to every single like store and shop that he dropped off at, hoping that they would observe him throwing away something, trash, a water bottle, a Coke can, a cigarette, nothing.
Let me tell you, no surveillance team is ever going to catch me doing that because I got 40 of them in my car.
Yeah, exactly. But then when you get home and you finally dump it and then you put it on the street, they got you.
They'll wait a month, though.
They'll have to wait a month to get something done, but they got you. This was their only hope, that he would do it on his delivery route, because he would burn all of his trash on his property.
Oh.
Meaning it would never go to the curb, which is where they can get it legally. Because once we said this once before and I'll say it again. Second you put that trash to the curb, that is state property. It has nothing to do with you, babe. That is going to waste management, and that is, I think, technically like a federal organization.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah. But he never did that, making it even harder for them to get a voluntary, as they call it, sample of his DNA. So investigators decided to try and get more information that could potentially help them build their case against Tim, bringing in his own little brother, Tom, for questioning. Tom explained that they had a very normal childhood. Like most brothers, they were very competitive with one another and always playing around, fucking shit up on their property growing up. Tom was definitely the more social one of the two, with Tim being a, quote, loner and socially awkward. Red flag, arrest him right now. I don't need to hear anything else. Thank you. But he had deeper issues that very clearly began bubbling to the surface when Tim walked into his teenage years. Tom recalling one evening when Tim was in high school. He was up in his bedroom alone talking on the phone with his girlfriend at the time, and she was breaking up with him. Begging her not to, he threatened to take his own life with the pistol that he kept in his room. And then, when his now ex-girlfriend said that she was sorry but she just didn't love him anymore, he fired the gun. And then after he fired the gun, he hung up the phone. His parents and brother rushed up to his bedroom to find out what the fuck had just happened, hearing a gunfire off inside of their house, only to find that he had just shot the pistol into the air by the phone. And they obviously took it the hell away from him. However, this night changed Tim forever. He began openly hating women, talking about how disgusted and repulsed he was by them. Incel, 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 incel. Fuck off, you dumb bitch.
What the fuck?
What the fuck? And he truly believed that women were inferior to men, and specifically to him, treating not only his own wife, Gina, but his own mother and Tom's wife, Robin, like they were his slaves. Oh my God.
I know a fucking couple people like that.
Yep. Gina, who was also interviewed in the 48 Hours, shared her experience with Tim as his wife. She explained that she had married him so young because she would have done anything to get the fuck out of her family's house. It was a bad situation. And throughout their almost 30 years of marriage, he was controlling and emotionally abusive to her. She was his servant, and he did not hide that from anyone. Gina was always too afraid to leave out of fear for her and her children's lives. So she decided to stick through it until the kids were old enough to move out of the house on their own so she could escape. Tom, his brother, told all of this to detectives and was willing to do whatever he needed to do to help them because he knew something was wrong with his brother. That says a lot to me right there. And one of the first things that he does is give them the direct phone number to Tim's manager at that commercial bakery that he worked for. So they call the number and they were able to speak with Tim's boss, a woman named Kim Wagner. This is our trifecta third girl. And they are like, look, we just want to speak in confidence with you because we are looking into one of your employees, Tim Bass, for a potential connection to a homicide case that we've been investigating for, almost 30 years at this point. Well, Miss Kim was all on board because if there's one person she fucking hated, it was Tim Bass. She tells investigators that he was a loose cannon, quick to anger, and always speaking down at women, especially those that were above him, like her. Giving examples as such how he would never ever call her Miss Kim or Kim like everybody else in the office did. Instead, only referring to her as woman.
Oh, I know a couple people like that too.
Oh my God.
I can't fucking stand that.
No, I can't put up with it. Like, I'm sorry. I literally can't put up with it.
Like, I have a name.
Yeah, no, I could name you. I could give you some names. And don't worry, they never get by with it very easily when it comes to me and Morg. And it didn't take long during this conversation with detectives for Miss Kim to put the pieces together. So she says to them, wait, is this about the Mandy case from 1989? And they were like, yeah, you know, we're looking to him in correlation to Mandy's case. Because that's how big this was. Like, everyone in the area and surrounding areas knew Mandy's case. And when they were like 30 years, almost 30 years, she's like, oh my God, Mandy. You guys are looking into him from Mandy. And obviously they knew what county. She knew what county they were calling from. And they confirm, and she says, being the true crime queen that she is, oh, so you guys just want his DNA, right?
No shit.
No shit. And they're like, yeah, like, he burns his trash. We try to follow him one night, but we don't, it's a lot to have like surveillance on someone. We're a small department and da-da-da-da-da. And we need a voluntary sample or a discarded sample, et cetera, et cetera. And she says, boys, don't worry. I'll get it for you. No fucking stress on me, babe. I got it.
Fuck yeah.
Kim? Miss
What
Kim?
a fucking queen.
What a fucking queen. She said in her 48 Hours interview, I could be working beside someone that potentially did this to Mandy, and I have to know.
She's also looking for an excuse to get that motherfucker the fuck out of
She
her
hates
office.
him. Woman, get the fuck out of here. I'll turn you over to police so quick. Don't even fucking look at me. So every single day for the next 3 months, Miss Kim Wagner watches every move Tim makes in that office, waiting for the moment that he threw away something that could potentially have a chunk of saliva left on it. When finally, she is sitting across from him talking about his route for that evening, and they're standing over like a trash can in the middle of the office. And as they're standing there, he throws away a cup, and then he throws away a Coke can that he had just guzzled down. So as soon as he walks away, she looks around, makes sure no one's looking. She picks them both up, and she walks to her desk. She puts it in the bottom, making sure to not touch the like top area where his mouth would be. As soon as Tim leaves, she calls the detectives. She's like, I got it. I got you a Coke can, and I got a cup. So they meet her. They come up immediately to Everson. They take the samples. They literally hand deliver it directly to the state crime lab. They drop it off, and it would take 3 more months for them to get the results. Detective Gates sat by the phone around the date that they knew that it was about to be due, and it finally rings. According to his interview with 48 Hours, he says, it popped up, Crime Lab Katie, and he knew. He picks up the phone, and she tells him, we've got a match. I want to cry.
Yeah.
Mandy's killer was Timothy Bass. Everyone in the station broke down in tears, celebrating the fact that they had finally did it. After all these years, they were going to get Mandy the justice that she deserved and have the chance to tell her mother, who was still alive, that they had done it. They had gotten the guy. Thanks to 3 phenomenal women, Heather, Marilee, and Miss Kim.
Really, though?
I'm gonna cry my eyes out. But they still had to play their cards right before they could get the chance to do this. Detectives made their way back up to Everson 3 months after she had given them that sample to visit Tim for a second time. They caught him just as he was walking out of the doors from work that day, firing off questions like, did you have any relationship with Mandy? No. You never once hung out with her personally, one-on-one? No. Did you guys ever kiss? No. Did you ever hook up once? No. 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 Well, then tell me, Tim, if that's the case, then why the fuck is your DNA inside of her?
Fucking mic drop.
Mic drop. They turned him around, they read him his Miranda rights, and they arrested him for the murder of Mandy Stavik.
Thank God.
But he didn't even have anything to say after that. You know what he said as they arrested him? Wait, how'd you guys get my DNA? Miss Kim, bitch.
Because he'd been burning it.
Uh-huh.
Been
He had been being careful this entire time, not thinking at all that that woman was working for police, bitch.
Wow.
And that was that. That day, December 12th, 2017, deputies from the Whatcom County Sheriff's Office arrested 50-year-old Timothy Bass for the 1989 murder of 18-year-old Mandy Stavik, charging him with kidnapping, rape, and first-degree murder. A few hours later, investigators were able to walk up onto the front porch steps of Mary Stavik's home, her mother, having no idea that inside was all of Mandy's siblings, as well as her mom. They're celebrating her mother's birthday.
Oh my God.
They had no idea that it was her birthday. When Mary opened the door with Molly, the oldest sister, standing right behind her. Investigators couldn't even wait. They just blurted it out. Miss Mary, we got him. We got him, Mary. Detective Bowie then immediately called Miss Kim Wagner, who had done all of this, and they told her the amazing news. With her very first question being, before any reaction, does her family know? Did you tell them? And he said, yes, I just told them I wanted to call you immediately after. And hearing that, Miss Kim broke down in tears, saying that that's all she ever wanted, was to do this for Mandy's family and her community.
Wow.
Oh my God. I love women. We're the best. Like, we're fucking
awesome.
We're the fucking best. Like, number one, nobody can argue it. But even though they had finally arrested him, they had the guy, they had the DNA, they still had to get this case to court, which was going to be an entire thing within itself. And Tim, the entire time, maintained his innocence adamantly, saying that he could explain it away with a secret they had kept from the public, but specifically from his wife, for 28 years. A secret that he refused to share until they got into court. The trial began in 2019 with Dave McEachran as the lead prosecutor on the case. Dave was 44 years old when Mandy was murdered in 1989, and he had been retired for many years, but he wanted to deliver justice for her. So he came out of retirement at the age of 73. I'm gonna cry. This is like the most like beautiful story of community.
Yeah, it really
he
is.
comes out of retirement at the age of 73, insisting to take lead in the prosecution team pro bono. He was like, I don't want anything from this other than the satisfaction to get this fucker put away, because everyone knew that he was the guy from the job. Like this guy, Dave, was like gonna be the person to prosecute this case back in the day when it happened, and it just took 30 years to get it there. So he was like, no one's doing this but fucking me, and I'm gonna put this man in the fucking ground, no doubt about it. And he was so right. The trial begins, and the case against Timothy Bass was very simple for the prosecution. His semen was found inside of the victim, still so fresh that we could have tested it in 1989.
Right.
Period. End of story. No questions needed,
But he has
Your
a
Honor.
big secret.
But Tim's defense attorney, Stephen Jackson, says nope, because Tim admitted, and this was a secret, to cheating on his wife with Mandy that day and having consensual sex with her. Which
Wow,
is why
fucking good one.
his semen was found inside of her. And let me just pause.
How long did it take you to come
and
up
say
with that one?
fucking here, if you're cheating on your fucking fiance who you're marrying 6 weeks after that, because he married Gina exactly 6 weeks after Mandy was abducted and murdered. If you're cheating, let's just say that day you guys were fucking consensually, you're gonna fucking dump a load in the girl that you're cheating on your wife with?
Right.
Fuck no, you're not. Fuck no, you're not. If there's ever a time that you're gonna wear a condom, it's gonna be that fucking day.
Right.
If there's ever a day that you're gonna pull the fuck out, it's gonna be that fucking day.
But also, like, that's the best you got.
That's the best you got. And number two, bitch, there's no fucking way that Mandy would ever fuck your nasty ass fucking self.
Yeah, I
no
saw him
fucking
on
way. That's a
fucking
dream of
Instagram-
yours,
or
you
Instagram.
fucking psychopath.
On
No
Google.
way. You saw that picture of him?
Yeah, he
no
was fucking
fucking
homeless.
shot. Get your fugly ass the fuck out of here. Mandy's a goddamn supermodel and she's not fucking you. Like, I don't know what else to say. Was that like, no fucking way. No fucking way, you disgusting ass mouse rat of a man. Fuck you. No further comments, Your Honor. Okay. So just to speed through the blatant lies that they tried to spin during this trial, I'm just going to wrap up the bullshit. There was absolutely zero evidence that could prove Tim and Mandy had any consensual relationship prior to this that would support his claim. And then on top of that, the defense could not explain why he never once came forward and told this to investigators or his wife or his brother prior to his arrest. Therefore, on May 24th, 2019, Timothy Bass was found guilty of the first-degree murder of Mandy Stavik, and he was sentenced to 27 years to life in prison. His now ex-wife, Gina, said in the interview of 48 Hours, when she was asked if she believed if he was innocent or guilty, she said, he's guilty as hell.
Wow. To have your brother, your wife, everybody that you thought loved you turn on you shows how fucking
fucked up you
are.
are. And even his own brother in the closing comments said that he was surprised that there weren't more victims, but he was so thankful that there were not.
Yeah, wow.
Everyone, and I mean everyone, was sobbing in their final interviews with 48 Hours, feeling so thankful that this case was finally closed and Mandy got the justice that she deserved.
When was the court?
2019. With Miss Kim closing out the episode by saying, "It truly takes a village, and no one ever gave up on Mandy." And that's the case.
It's a fucking terrible case.
Terrible case, but like such a good,
has some
to have like this
heart melting effects.
Yes, like
yeah. You know what I will say though, and like I obviously hindsight is 2020, like we say. But when you first started and I pulled up that map, I knew immediately it was someone on that road. It was the first thing I thought of. So I am kind of disappointed in the lack of interviewing of everybody that lived on that road.
And they did. Literally everyone except for them, because his family was like so good. Like they were like the golden,
you know.
And it's always those people. Like,
yeah.
But I guess back in 1989, I'm just only thankful that they even knew to do that shit with DNA.
Right. You're right.
Like,
I know they handled it great.
They handled it great. Did they fuck up on that? 100%.
It was my first thought.
And for all we know, like they could have interviewed the parents and been like, no one was home, because basically what they believe, I don't know why I never explained this to you in the case, but like basically what they think happened when she turned around and was running back, he had pulled out, okay? And like, I don't know if he saw her pass by, because
let's not forget he's got his little fucking pussy pistol.
Exactly. They believe that he saw her pass by,
and he knew,
so he got in his car and he drove down the road and he backed into like one of the like because there's a bunch of gravel roads that go off that aren't necessary, they're like farm roads, they're not like driveways or anything like that. They think that he backed into one that would have been like less than a mile from her house, knowing where she was going, backed into there. When she came out, pulled out, blocked the road, like completely blocked the road from her, and was like, "Oh my God, hey," because they knew each other. And then got out of the car to like give her a hug or whatever. At which point he pulled a gun on her, grabbed her, and forced her into the car and kicked Kyra, because Kyra had like bruising on her.
I feel so bad.
Kick a fucking dog.
The fucking dog was in this story.
Yeah, kicked Kyra into the ditch really hard, and then put Mandy into the car at gunpoint, jumped back into the driver's seat and drove off. Drove to this like cabin or shed or something that was on the back side of his property, and sexually assaulted and raped her there. She got out, like was able to get the fuck away from him and fight him off, ran through those bushes, just getting cut up by them. And then he either threw something or came up behind her and put her in the river.
It's fucking terrible.
If I ever got my fucking hands on this man, I would beat the fucking hell out of him.
And cases like this really fucking piss me off, because he's just living.
He just lived his whole life.
Blissfully. Just living his life.
Just continuing to be an asshole.
Continuing to be a piece of shit. But in his head, he got away with it. And then the bittersweet part of that, or actually, I guess not bittersweet, but I hate it for that. But I love it for the fact that he was living blissfully.
Yeah.
And then his life was taken like that, just like he took their
just
life.
Overnight.
Her life.
And when they pulled up that day, the first time, he shit his pants.
Yeah.
Shit his pants. And Gina was probably in the back being like, "Please God, get him. Please arrest him."
Yeah.
Like, I want to be free. Get this man the fuck away from me. I hate disgusting men. I hate them so much.
Me too.
Oh my God. I love women. We're amazing. We're phenomenal. We're the higher.
And like the characteristics of that man, Timothy, is so common. And
so common
even today, that I'm like questioning. I'm so sick, because I'm like, oh my God, are they a fucking killer? Like,
to every man that acts like that, like, what have you done?
Yeah.
You think like this in 2025 and you talk like this in 2025. What the fuck have you done?
Right.
Because
that's all that's in my head.
There's very few type of men that could ever feel so fucking entitled in 2025 to say some shit like that. I think that about all those like podcast bro fucking channels. Like, I can't wait till all those NDAs get overran by an investigation.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck? You use, you abuse, and you pay off. And that's what these men do. Or they kill.
I love the community though.
Like Heather and Marilee and Kim, like, I can't. They
just literally bringing up in conversation, because you know how when you're with people that you don't really know, you'll kind of bring up anything.
Yeah.
Nothing's off the radar. You're just trying to make
this is not going to be held on to me. Yeah.
And then from that, they trauma bond.
Yeah.
And then from the trauma bond, they fucking solve a 30-year-old case.
They solve a case. And they're like, no, we've all, our intuition has been right all these years. We're calling it in. Like, we're not wasting another day. We're doing it tonight. And they didn't even know each other.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
See something, experience something, say something.
I love that.
Love that.
Shirt?
Put it on a t-shirt.
Put it on a fucking
Put
t-shirt.
it on a fucking t-shirt. Okay, guys. Well, continue being absolutely badass, strong women, because clearly we changed the fucking world. Like, I literally cannot get over this. Like, as I was typing it, I was sobbing at my computer. Like, just when I was scripting it today, I was sobbing. Like, even from the very, very beginning, when Detective Ron Peterson is like, I've got you. You're safe. Like, this, it just shows you, like, the community feel that actually exists in this area, and how Timothy Bass felt so entitled to disrupt it.
Yeah, and I also feel like this community feel, well, it doesn't hardly exist. It doesn't exist today.
Yeah.
But also, like, even, like, my small town, like, it didn't exist then.
No.
Like, this was, like, a 1900s ordeal that happened.
Yeah, like 80s, early 90s.
I think the internet fucking ruined that.
It did, because we created communities in different places. We didn't need to go next door to, hang out. And that's why it's so important, too, that, like, even if they're different from you, I'm not saying, like, in a negative way where, like, you're like, I would never even associate with myself with that person. But I mean, like, even when there's different than you, I find it so important, that neighborly connection to have with people. Like, me and Logan, every place we've ever lived, me and Morgan, every place that we've ever lived, we made friends with neighbors because it's so important. You have to. That's how we survive. That's how civilization has gotten to the point that it has today, is because of that community feel. It's just so important that you have people on your side. Like, I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but, like, we came home from Logan running the marathon, and our neighbor heard us pull up, but we pulled up in a different spot than we typically would at the house. And my neighbor comes out with a gun, and he's like, who the fuck is that? And we're like, it's us. And he's like, sorry, I was watching he's like, sorry, I was watching the house. Like, I didn't know that you guys were coming home today, and I was afraid that someone was pulling up by your house, and, like, we didn't know who it was. And I'm like, no, see, I appreciate that fucking energy. Like, I want my neighbors. Yeah. I mean, literally, when we were on vacation, like, a year ago, when Madison and Peyton had to stop by the house, our other neighbor was walking their dog and was like, who are you? Walking into Taylar and Logan's backyard.
Yeah, who the fuck do you
Who the fuck is that? Like, and they're like,
if
no.
If you're not in a white car and a business partner, then we don't know you.
We don't know who the fuck you are. And then they're like, no, we're, like, literally the closest friends. Like, we're coming here to take. And they're like, oh, okay. Like, you've got to have community like that, and it saves lives. I mean, we just saw in this, it solves crimes and it brings peace to a lot of people.
And
so
I feel like now, like, communities are just fighting. Like,
yeah,
when
they're
I was
fighting.
In Pennsylvania, I have driving to my parents' house. There's a house there with a big flag that says "My neighbor is a Karen."
Guys, see, like, we don't need that.
And then the other house says "My neighbor is a bigger fucking Karen" on the flag.
Guys. Cute.
And I want to know what they're fighting.
Yeah, actually, can we go knock on the door? Like, what the fuck is the team?
I do want to know, but it is like that's the
that's
shit now.
funny. Yeah, no. See, that just, we can't let that happen. Like, if your neighbor's a psychopath, don't fuck with them.
Right.
But,
if
like,
you got a crazy lady smashing glass behind your tires,
don't fuck with that bitch. But you got to go find your other neighbor that's just as sane as you are, and go befriend them, Like, that's your person. Even if there's, like, a little things that you're like, first off, they're 30 million years older than me. I'm buddies.
Yeah.
I'm buddies with some elderly folk down my lane. And half of them, like, my neighborhood is crazy, but me and Logan, we know them. Like, we're tight, and that's just how the fuck it is. Like, we know that in order to protect ourselves, that's what you have to do. Morgan has the most phenomenal neighbor on the planet.
I have an amazing
the best neighbor on the planet. And then you also have, like, everyone down the road, like, they're like, the left side of the road if you're pulling out of your house.
Right.
And, like, those people are fucking cool. And, like, there's people that are just great people, and that, they will talk your ear off. So God forbid you get stuck outside getting the mail when they're walking the dog.
I did rip out your butterfly bush the other day.
I had a butterfly bush.
I think you might have had a butterfly bush right at the corner. It looked like a butterfly bush.
I don't think I planted anything, babe.
But it was fucking huge. It was taking over the whole sidewalk. So I ripped out whatever it was. And I put it down at the end of the road. And I was going to put it in the trash can, but I was like, I'll just keep it here. Like, he just cut his grass. He's not going to be out. Like, and I'll move it after they get the trash on Thursday, because our trash can was full of weeds. I see on the Ring camera, he's mowing that day. And we're out of the house. I'm like, fuck. I was like, I don't want him to think I just threw the shit on. You know where I put it?
Yeah, I know exactly where you put it.
And he picked it up, mowed around it and set it back down. I was like, fuck.
That's what
and then
I'm
as soon
talking
as I got
about.
home, I was like, Aaron, you have to make that fit in the trash can. That was so inconvenient for him. Oh my God.
He had to pick up the butterfly bunch with the roots and everything. Like, you better move it. Like, everyone, and we said this on the advice column, where it's like, one thing that I'm very grateful that social media gave us was the ability to see that that there's never been an original thought, and there's actually more people on this earth that want to think good and be kind and do good than there are people that are hateful and nasty. And that's like all that you have to remind yourself of, like, when you go through life, because there's people out there like Heather and Marilee and Miss Kim. They're like, oh, fuck yeah, fuck these guys. Let's get them
fucking get him.
Let's get this guy, like, 100%. Let's go. Like, imagine if someone came out to you, a detective called. I'd be like, babe, hold on. I have a whole team. Hold on. What do you need?
Let me call up the girls.
Babe, what do you need? We're running ops tonight, queen. No payment needed.
Yeah.
Just, you don't even have to put our name in anything. It'd be nice if you gave Groups and Crimes a shout
You
out.
could give us a little shout out.
Yeah, you could give
like,
CNC a shout out. But
definitely put our names. Actually.
yeah, like, other than that, like.
But here's what we know. Here's what we've seen on the neighbor apps, and here's what our neighbors got on the CCTV.
And here's the tea from around the neighborhood that we heard from Horbitch Joanne. And that's that.
Joanne.
And that's how that we live, you know? So anyways, guys, I hope you guys have I hope we had a great Memorial Day weekend. I hope this is a nice little refreshing thing from the bullshit that you have to come back from when you go on a long weekend.
Oh, it's been a rough week.
And then also, I think you guys should have, it's going to be late because it's late right now and there's no fucking way I'm going to edit that right now. You're going to get a bonus TBB this week on Wednesday.
Bonus.
It'll come out like 3 because I haven't even touched it yet. So we'll get there. All right. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.